Hey guys, I decided to tell you all a joke that I really like. Rare! Yes, who would believe that one of gaming's best companies of all time, who made such classics like this one... Oh, and that one was also pretty good. Ooh, that one's actually pretty nice. Ooh, more people should play that one. Ended up making games like this one. Oh, and that one too. They made that? Really? Ugh. And they also made this. God, this game. This game. What can I say about this game? Absolutely nothing. Because I'm not gonna review it today. I'm actually gonna review something completely different. I'm gonna talk about the one game I believe that was actually good ever since Rare was bought by Microsoft. And that is Kameo Elements of Power. This game literally came out the exact same day the 360 has been launched, as well as the same day Perfect Dark Zero came out. And that game took all the spotlight pretty much for how controversially bad and disappointing it was. I personally don't think the game was all that awful, but clearly after a 6-year wait since the last game, you can understand why people were, you know, not so happy. Except for GameSpot, I have no idea why they gave it a 9 out of 10. Safe to say, Kameo did not get any attention whatsoever, which is a shame, because I'm going to tell you right now, this game is actually a good game. I know, I'm talking about a good game on this review show, so to say. Question is though, how good is it? Well, let's find out in this review. Because that's probably why you clicked on this video, either that or listening to my horrible accent going on and off. Because you know how I like to nitpick me on that all the time. Remixes.
The story of the game feels like it came straight out of a fairy tale. Once upon a time, the Queen of Elves, Thena, gave her youngest daughter, Kameo, a book that holds the entire power of the elemental warriors. However, Kameo's elder sister, Callus, was jealous of the power bestowed upon her sister and decided to exact revenge on her family by awakening the evil troll of Waldthorn and kidnap everyone in the family. It is up to Kameo to stop not only her sister, but also save... Okay, I'm sorry, I will not do this ever again in a review. The story goes through all the motions, yeah, and while it's not bad, I can definitely feel a sense of fatigue from Rare since it lacks any kind of charm or serious character traits. Kameo is the brat-turned-hero, Mystique is the old snarky witch, and Ortho, that fellow from the Whatnot book, seriously, what's the deal with that name, is the Merlin mentor. It's far from bad, but sheesh, it's definitely forgettable. While many of you are gonna think that this is actually a platformer like Rare's other games, this is in fact an action-adventure game. The reason why it's half an adventure game is because of the games as hub worlds. Rare is known of creating some amazing hub worlds in their games, but Kameo's is rather on the dull side, not having much of a personality, despite how hard Rare tried to inhabit each section of the world with unique creatures like plant people, and my personal favorite, crab people. Crab people. They look like crabs, they talk like people. But at its core, Kameo is an action game. Heck, the game thrusts you right into the action with 3 elemental warriors under your belt already from the beginning. Albeit you'd have to reclaim them right after Thorn literally bitch slaps you. Isn't it kind of a cruel way to lose your powers in a video game? How would you feel if Samus lost her powers by being frickin' bitch slapped?
The baby for the baby.
However, the elemental warriors have been devolved into cute little sprites. While some of them will be given after rescuing one of Kameo's relatives, the other have been captured by the Shadow Trolls. Shadow Trolls are often found hiding in a cave, and once they're found and defeated, the cute sprites can be rescued and they will merge with Kameo. And boy, don't you wish Pokemon evolved like that too?
Now you're probably thinking to yourself this game is a lot like Pokemon, but I would probably compare it more to the Skylanders. Because, you know, they kind of look the same, and... Oh, do you remember that Spyro used to be in the Skylander games too, but now he's barely not seen anymore? It's exactly the same thing with the whole Raving Rabbits thing. You know, Rayman used to be in that game too, and he was removed of the title. Sometimes I hate the game industry.
Each of the 10 elemental warriors have their own unique moves and abilities. What makes the game really unique is the fact that you choose them by using the face buttons, and the attacks are actually performed by the triggers. The controls work for the most part, but sometimes can be rather finicky. Trying to pull off some of the moves with both triggers will require acute precision. Thankfully the camera is very responsive, and after a while, it's pretty easy to get the hang of the controls. Now is a good time to talk about each individual warrior. Pummelweed is your go-to brawler. His fast punches can make any enemy your punching bag, and his borrowing technique is very useful to go under gates or knocking those stupid spiny dome enemies that keep hitting you every single time. Also, he can learn this very deadly uppercut move that does this. Heck, this doesn't defeat an enemy, it shreds an enemy.
Fatality.
So yeah, I gotta admit, Pummelweed is pretty fun, but on the other hand, we have Rubble, or I would like to call him Rubbish. His movements are extremely slow, and his projectiles are surprisingly weak, considering the fact he's made out of frickin' rocks. And true, he is essential to finishing the second level, the Forgotten Forest, but it's more because of the reason he's one of the only warriors you'll have at that time. Once you get more, he's practically non-existent, making him the worst warrior in the entire game. Speaking of disappointments, we have Ash. No, not that Ash or that Ash, because they're kinda cool, especially that one. No, I'm talking about this Ash, and yes, I know he looks like Charizard, but come on, it's 2 Pokemon references in 10 seconds. But yeah, as you can imagine, he also moves really slow and his attacks are really pathetic. The fireball move that he has needs to be aimed carefully, and even then, it's not really effective at all. And his quote-unquote Inferno attack? Yeah, well, you have to stay stationary the entire time, and even then it doesn't even work. Another warrior you would rarely use. Ah, great. Next, we have Major Ruin. It's important to mention that aside Kameo herself, none of the warriors are capable of jumping, so that already makes our armored armadillo here a lot more reliable. The game's platforming segments are designed to accommodate his ability to roll into a ball and launch himself faster than a monkey in a ball. Oh, who writes this stuff? Oh yeah, me. Because of that, you'll use him most of the time, as you need to roll yourself over half-pipes or jump into narrow tubes. He's not the strongest warrior, even if he can roll over enemies that stick to his spikes. Also, you need to get the hang of his controls, as many times you'll have those Wile E. Coyote moments. Deep Blue could have been a cool character to play as. Blasting enemies with a strong water jet is really fun, especially those annoying fire demons that are a major pain in the butt. So, what's the problem? Underwater controls, because we all love water levels. Those segments are far from fun, and the fact that you have to use the left trigger to thrust and move the analog stick just to control the movement of your character is very cryptic. Also, aiming Water Blast underwater is a chore considering there is no crosser to define where you shoot. Deep Blue is okay, as long as he's out of the water, which is ironic because he's the only character that can swim. Chila is one of the best warriors in the game, and my personal favorite. Aside his extremely handy ability to climb on icy walls, he can shoot spikes towards enemies and even summon falling icicles from the sky for some reason, I don't know. His coolest ability, however, is to use the enemy trolls as live projectiles. You see this troll over there? Well, I believe he can fly, and I believe he can die. I think that ability alone makes him a fun character to use. Next we have Flex. Flex is probably the better of the What
was that?
Hi!
NFreak, what the hell are you doing here?
I decided to sort of make a
Cameo?
It took me that long in this video to actually make this joke. I'm actually improving on my sense of humor. That's actually kind of sad.
I think I'm just gonna use this spot to, promote my channel.
Don't worry about it, man. I'm so glad you're here. You're one of the people I want to collaborate with the most.
Oh wow, that's really nice of you to...
After the Angry Video Game Nerd, Angry Joe, the Happy Video Game Nerd, Cat Icarus, Space Hamster, Dexter Sweet, the Completionist, some call me Johnny, 16
Where's that dislike button?
After all, you're the best person out of this group of people, right? Is that good?
Good.
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 Anyway, Lex is probably the better of the two water characters, though his main gimmick is being able to use his tentacles to grab onto blue wall creatures that have sharp teeth that you can latch on. Also, he can be used to get rid of the shield of the ice soldiers, which by far are the most annoying enemies in the whole game. He is kinda tricky to use at first, but once you learn some of his moves, he can be pretty fun. Bonk! 40 Below has the stupidest name, but like Chilla, he proves how the Ice Elemental Warriors are the best type here. Wish that it was true in Pokemon. He can freeze enemies with his icy breath, throw a barrage of snowballs, and my personal favorite, this. Snare, besides Rubble, is the worst elemental warrior in the game. All he can essentially do is bite. He can also fling whatever he has in his mouth by rooting himself and rocking back and forth, while still stuck to the ground, making him completely vulnerable. He has other abilities too, yeah, but you won't use them because quickly afterwards, you get the final and perhaps the best warrior in the whole game, Thermite. Don't let looks fool you, he is the strongest warrior of them all. His bombs are so destructive, they hurt even himself if he's too close to them. He has other attacks like Firecracker Blast and the Suction ability, but mostly you will use his bombs because they are really that good. Also, he can traverse through lands in great speed with his shield on. Speaking of traversing lands, all the different hub worlds in the game are connected by one giant mass of an overworld. Honestly, there's not much to do here besides going from point A to B. The one segment actually have you on a horseback plowing through thousands of troll troops! For only 1 minute. Yay. The other missions in the overworld are really dull in comparison. There is one mission where you get to use Pommel and try to aim exploding flowers at tanks, which sounds fun, but it's more frustrating than anything. But even more annoying is one of the missions that I get called in the middle of a Shadow Troll encounter to actually go and help the troops out there. This is really annoying because I have to leave the hub world, look for a horse, go all the way to the mission area, finish the mission, and then, as you probably guessed it, go all the way back to where I left off. Besides, the whole hub world concept in Kameo isn't fully realized. Sure, there are some hidden spots to explore for goodies, but those are few and far in between. At least the collectibles that you do collect, the elemental fruits, are worthwhile, and you find them in hidden spots or by helping townsfolk. Those fruits can be used to make your warriors stronger and teach them unique fighting moves. There are 100 fruits in the whole game, so it gives the players incentive to look for them, yeah, but still doesn't change the fact the worlds themselves are rather boring. Now, with all that bitching and moaning I did, you probably think that I don't like this game. But as a matter of fact, I do love the main levels. The game is strongest when you have to combine your warrior's skills together. For example, you see an ice wall in the distance, but you can't really reach it. So, first, roll as Major Ruin, cross that gap, and then switch to Chilla right away. That makes the game really intriguing, and I wish there were more moments like that. I bet most of you already noticed the text that shows up, Brutal, Carnage, and Frenzy. Those words serve as multipliers for your score. The more enemies you kill in lavish ways, the higher the multiplier becomes. Carnage, the most basic one, goes up for every kill. Frenzy will show up after every other kill in succession, and Brutal if you perform a lethal strike, like tossing a hopeless troll to oblivion. While it sounds easy to rack up a massive score, each time you get hit, 1 point from every multiplier goes down, so it's much harder to do in practice. Also, if you manage to fill up the blue bar over there, you can actually go into slow mode. So it's kind of like bullet time, only you get to punch things instead of, shoot stuff. But it's still pretty cool. Another highlight of the game are the boss battles. They're all massive in size and well designed, like the rest of the game pretty much. What's really cool about it is the fact you actually need to use all of your elemental warriors to figure out how to defeat the boss. It's not just attack this weak point right here. My favorite is easily the Ice Queen, since doing this attack never gets old. It's like the chainsaw in Gears of War, it never gets old. Graphically, I must say that this is just one beautiful game. The game was a launch title for the 360, and many of the system's launch lineup had ports of older games that were slightly rezzed up. However, Kameo looks fantastic. The characters look great, the different areas just oozing with atmosphere with the different locales, the frame rate is incredibly solid, and even the loading times are pretty fast. The only small nitpick I have is that the main character's animation is rather stiff and repetitive, but it's a small gripe. It's definitely one of the best looking games on the 360 that it had in its first year. Otherwise, Kameo is only serviceable. There are no big name voice actors in the game, so for all the three of you who want to see John Young Bosch here, why? The characters all have appropriate voices, especially the sultry Mystic.
You insolent little child, you have no idea what you're dealing with.
And also Ortho with his wonderful zingers.
Did you slay the beast?
Like you, Mystic, it wasn't pretty.
Ooh, snap! The soundtrack of the game is heavily orchestrated and it fits the epic atmosphere very well. The choir definitely adds more weight to the whole adventure, and it makes it stand out above other games in the genre. It may not be as memorable as the Legend of Zelda games, but it fits and it gets the job done, and that's what matters. Granted, the main adventure is kinda short, lasts between 6 to 8 hours, which isn't too bad, but thankfully besides other collectibles, you also get a co-op mode, which is actually really cool. Almost every major level is playable in the co-op mode, as well as every single elemental warrior, and you can fight all the bosses too. It also adds another layer to strategizing attacks. For example, one player can use Deep Blue's oil slick attack and spread oil all over the ground, while another player uses ash and ignites the oil. Sure, you can do it in the single player mode, but it takes more time and it's definitely more satisfying to do it with a friend. And yes, you can actually play this on and offline. See, I like when developers give you the option. Many developers will just make online multiplayer, but it won't be relevant once the game has been out for about 10 years and other people move on to bigger and better things. There is also DLC called the Power Pack, which is actually only $1, that unlocks a time attack mode, which is only for multiplayer for some reason, and a rune battle attack, which basically means whoever collects the most runes wins the game. That mode actually also have power-ups, making it a lot more competitive than the other modes in the game. There is also an expert mode for those who want challenge, but for everyone else I would recommend skip it.
So I decided once I'm done with the review of the game, I'm gonna give you both the pros and the cons of it and final thoughts with the score. So here we go, let's see how this works out. First, the positive. Kameo looks amazing, and I'll even go far and say it's the best looking 360 game on launch. Call of Duty may look better technically, but I would say that the artistic design of Kameo definitely puts it on top for me, so good job, Rare. Also, the combat is really fun. You have about 10 different elemental warriors you can use, and you have many options to create crazy combos and multipliers, so trying to get that high score once you're done with the game is actually really engaging, and you can be like me and get all the achievement points, so get on that. I would say the number one thing that's worth the price of admission, however, is the co-op. Sure, you have to unlock all the levels through the single player, but once you do, you can actually play with a friend either off or online, and you can play through all the levels, fight all the bosses, and it's just great fun. It's definitely worth it. And last but not least, the elemental warriors themselves are just cool. I mean, who plays this game for Kameo? It's all about the 10 elemental warriors you get. And you get a lot of cool ones, like Major Ruin, and Pommelweed, and frickin' Chilla. Chilla is the best. However, on the other end of the spectrum, you also get the lame elemental warriors like Rubble and Snare and Ash. How can you ruin a dragon? Ugh, that's such a miss. Unfortunately, not all of them are winners. Also, the hub worlds in the game are kind of boring, and they're not as good as the main levels. They feel they're just thrown in as an afterthought. They're very trite and dull, which is a shame, because that moment when you ride through tons of troll troops is really cool, but I wish there were more moments like that. The controls are kind of finicky, especially the underwater controls, and it takes a while to get used to the idea that you have to use the trigger buttons in order to attack enemies. You get used to it pretty quickly though, but just get warning, you'll get frustrated a bit at the beginning. So, how does Kameo hold up? God, Icarus does it so much smoother than me. Damn it! So, overall, how'd this game age? Well, I have to say that Kameo may have not been as good as it used to be in 2005, but I still think it's a very good game, and considering how much it costs nowadays, I think it's a really good purchase. So overall, I would give this game a 7.5 out of 10. So this was my review of Kameo Elements of Power, and I want to give a special thank you to NFreak, who really helped me out with this video. I'm actually going to have one of his videos right here, so you can check his stuff out. On the other side, you have one of my videos, so if you want to check more of my stuff, you're more than welcome to. Also subscribe, that would be really nice if you want to, help me out, and hopefully tell some of your friends about my videos, because I'm going to make more stuff in the future. Oh, and by the way, I also have a Facebook channel, so if you want to like me on Facebook and get updates from me, that's also doable, so thank you so much, guys, and I'll try to see how Cat Icarus makes this so smooth. Jeez, how does it do that? I can't even, do this properly. I'll leave it to the pros. Thank you, guys. Join me next time. Blah.
Fatality.